Good morning. It's Kula Dula from OptionScalps. Want to hop on here and get you our pre-market live show. So thanks for joining us. We will be covering all the latest and SPY, NVDA, Tesla. So stick with us as we knock through some of this. First thing first, today, let's start this off with some data. Let me drop this screen. Okay, so we are seeing essentially some data come out today. This came out just moments ago. We're seeing the initial jobless claims. Virtually, it has increased month over month. So last month we were at, or I meant, excuse me, it might be just a small little bump here. We're seeing the average actually tick down on the 4-week average. And that might be a weekly initial jobless claims last week instead of last month. We have a lot more data coming out, specifically watching S&P Global Services PMI at 8:45. That's 15 minutes after open. And then additionally, we have the ISM non-manufacturing PMI that's dropping 30 minutes after open. So both those will definitely move the market. And then actually you need to watch 10:30 as well. That's going to be 2 hours in the open. So if you're looking for potential moves today in the market, keep an eye on that. 15 minutes in, 30 minutes in, and 2 hours in. Mark those, put them on a timer, whatever. Those all need to be on your radar. Okay, so yesterday I talked about this in our Discord, where we talked about essentially kind of being range bound. Talked about 569.89 level right here. This is a breakdown level right here, where we're saying could potentially be the high. We were looking for 565.12 to be swept, or excuse me, 565.17 to be swept. We did not get it. However, futures did get it. European markets got it, but as of right now, we hadn't got it swept. So I'm quite positive that we will make a visit back down here and get the double sweep. Do we get continuation past that? I'm not so sure. But you need to watch for a couple different scenarios today, and we'll draw those out. I've been adamant that we're going to get this target. Yesterday we got awfully close off the open, and it got bought up right on it. And I do think that ultimately we'll get down to this 561 mark. Now, will that come at the cost of us revisiting 570, 571 again? Potentially. I do think that we need to watch that. This does have that head and shoulders type reversal type of look. This would be the flush point. I don't know if we're going to make it back up to that range. I think that we could potentially see a sell today that could lead us into that 561 area. It would not surprise me to also see us maybe make a move below this low, right? And try to bounce off of this 566.57 area. So watch for this to be swept and maybe make a run towards, that will make either a run towards 570 again or 571. I don't think we'll get continuation up to that 574 area, but we are definitely in a wedge type of scenario here. So you need to be watching this for a potential like breakout. There'll be people buying, and that would potentially lead us up into this 575 area. Now let's take a look at our partners over at Gamma Edge. We have options data here. Our gamma conditions right now, albeit kind of small, are still put dominated. We are looking at a bottom. They've got the bottom in at 565 virtually, and the top at 572. So it kind of puts us in that range that we are just talking about. But however, I do think we could break through that bottom. But we'll see if that's going to be the case. So virtually based on options as of now, below 569 brings on 567. And then we'll see if that breaks below 567 is really where we'll start seeing the press down to 565 and potentially down to 560. So keep an eye on that as a potential bounce zone. And that would look kind of something similar to like this setup right here. So maybe it looks something similar to this right here. I definitely think that's a possibility. But I also see the I also do see that us breaking this could be a pivot if we break below this level, which let me go ahead and mark this out, is 567.58. If we break and hold below that, so we break and hold and maybe get a continuation type of candle, I do think that we're likely to test this 565 area down here on these lows. And if we break through that, we definitely need to be watching 564.20. It's been a pretty critical area of bounce. It's also a really part of this neckline break that we had. So watch for that to be a potential swipe bounce off of that area. But I think ultimately your target is down here at 561. That is if we get a break below 568, 567.58, and then get a continuation and hold underneath there. We'll be targeting that, or those two options, or those three options really. So it's 1, 2, and 3. Let's take a look at NVIDIA. NVIDIA came out with some news talking about how they have their own ChatGPT version, their own AI language model, and it's open source. So obviously people got excited about it. We're seeing, some after hours movement here on NVIDIA. I think this thing is more than likely to be sold on. Excuse me. We talked about this yesterday in my Discord in the pre-market. I wasn't able to be on yesterday, but we did discuss that a break over 118 would likely try to push on that 120 area with a sell area at 119.18. And yesterday it fought it hard at 119.18, which is this breakdown. And, it did show some signs of a potential pullback. But then that news dropped and it really pushed up in this area. So I do find if you're looking to go short, you're virtually range bound, in my opinion. It's going to probably sell off at this point. It may push to 122.43 before it sells off. But either way, I either see it going up and then back down here, or I will see this thing at open, sell off, likely target this gap fill, and then maybe make a bounce. We could see a continuation back down towards 117. That would not surprise me if we see SPY starting to tank. This would be considered a bear flag, continuation to the downside, if that is the case. So being 115 challenge, a lot of people are posting this on Twitter, talking about how this is a head and shoulders. We didn't have a break of any neckline here. And so I'm not, if I don't get the weakness, the break of the previous low and like a hold, at least under it, I'm not super into playing those head and shoulders type of plays. Those generally lead to squeezes more than they do flushes. Taking a look at our options data here, if we dial into this week, we can see that we are call dominated. The high is at 123, so that would give us a break of 122 and likely be sold between 122.43 and our breakdown at 123.53. So keep an eye on that as a reversal or high a day, and potentially look for that for this play right here to potentially happen. Okay. We already went over SPY. Let's look at Tesla. Tesla here. Let's pull up the chart first. So this was a plan yesterday. If we pop the resistance, we were looking for the gap to close. But prior to opening, we uh, we did get the sell down from the deliveries. So this is a non-factor now. So we'll take that out of the plan. What we did see is we did see a visit down into this range. Currently, what we found is that if I had to guess based on options today, I do think that 240 will be visited. We definitely do have an opportunity to go and close this gap near 238 and potentially come back down towards this 236, 236 area, but I think it will be quickly recovered. If we do take a look at our options here for the week, we've flipped to, and this is very small here, guys. But we flipped to put dominated. Our bottom is at 235, virtually kind of where we're looking at. The top is 255. Okay, the walls here are 240 and 250. So for the week, I do expect us to probably at least close at our negative gex here, which is at 240, or at least right in that range. If we get below that, we might see some type of press a little bit further down. But you do need to watch this. If we get the close underneath 247.20, it will potentially lead us into testing 244.57 and then down to 241. And if we get below 241, watch for this gap to close right here. Whoops. Right here for 238. Now, for me personally, I think that I would want to see 241 swept, which means we visit down to this range before playing any upside, targeting this breakdown here at 250. So if you're looking for calls, you're definitely not getting right in them. It could happen, but it's just, for me, it doesn't make sense. We would really want to see this thing, in my opinion, come swipe 241, make that move up towards 250 and potentially even 260 in the next week. So when you start zooming out, what's that look like? We start saying that it swept and maybe it comes in this range. Excuse me. It swept and then it comes in this range. You start to create a potential little channel here. I'm not so sure that this thing doesn't play out kind of exactly like this, and then we get this head and shoulders look into next week. But that's kind of the plan as of right now. I'm going to avoid Tesla. I think that it does have some extreme volatility early at the bell for you to make some money on. But at the same time, I don't want to. I don't see any great setups here. Okay, for risk versus reward on any type of early movement. It's a pretty decent little consolidation area with a breakout for the top. It did hold in this range, but as you can see, we are opening below that range. And so will we jet up and test it and then maybe make that move? Potentially. So if you're looking for anything, for me personally, like I said, I don't think I would be interested until I saw 241 swept. 241 swept, and then we see some type of higher high being built here, or even lower high, excuse me, or higher low, excuse me. However you want to look at it. But keep an eye on that. I do think that's definitely a possibility for us to slip today on Tesla and then potentially find our way back up as long as the market stays up. Apple today, for me, this is a pretty clear it's a pretty clear buy if we can maintain over the top of 224.09. So you're buying the dip here and you're looking to hold that 224.09. If we slip on that, then so be it. But I do think that we will likely maybe make a little jet down towards that area and then get bought up. We'll test this range. So that'll look like this right here. Maybe find another sell down and look for that to be built for another test back up towards that 230 area. I didn't pull options on that, but I can real quick. Let's take a look real quick. Okay, so apples this week expiration, we're getting into that negative gex area. It makes us put dominated. We are seeing a bottom of 221 with a top of 229. So I'm not in it for that 221 area. I'm not. I definitely am not interested in that. For me, if we get down to that 221 area, that is a nice little consolidation. You could buy that and look for that next move up, but I don't think that's going to be the case. If we do see that happening, I do believe that will create the market to start to roll over. And, maybe that creates us in a range between that 221, or excuse me, let's mark it out at 219 back to this range right here. That's kind of where it put us. I don't think 220, we have a pretty strong level here at 221.20. That's probably where that's coming from. So keep an eye on that 221.20 to potentially play if we do break below this. But I'm not interested in it. I don't think Apple will break below 223. I think you buy the dip here and look forward to play the, say, $3 play here. So what that looks like is you're long, as long as you're over 220, 224, you're long for this thing to average into this thing, try to come back to this consolidation. It's a decent risk versus reward with the upside potential that it breaks through this, retests this trend, and potentially makes that's 4.5, and potentially comes back and tests this 233 area. Puts you around an 8 RVR. I do think it's definitely worth the squeeze here. We've already made our low. I'll see if it holds it. It could cause some little manipulation here where we do see a new low, excuse me, a new low swept, and then you'd have to watch for that to be built, bullish structure to be built, and look to do that. But I do think that you do take the risk and buy the dip looking for that to go. If y'all bear with me 1 second, I didn't prep this, but I want to kind of go over it. Our 4-day moving average here does show weakness on SPY. We're maintaining this low here as of right now at 567.70, and it's yesterday's open. So will we press up from there, or will we continue to press down, get ourselves into that daily 20, which will likely rise on us today and probably be in that 563 range? I think that we could get into that for sure today. We just need to see the proper breakdowns like we spoke about earlier. So keep an eye on that level. As of right now, it's at 562.66. But we could see that it will in fact rise, and I'm assuming based on this, we'll probably see this thing kind of around that 563 range. Keep an eye on that. Tesla did get into the range of its daily 20 yesterday. It sits on 240. So you got to think that Tesla's going to maintain that at least for some type of retest. We talked about that earlier, but this is a level you need to be cognizant that is an area. That's the daily 20. NVDA, we're seeing some roping happen here. We are still on relative weakness in regards to our trend daily 4, but it is going to open above it. So we'll see how that's going to interact, whether that's going to get a pullback. If we do get that pullback into that gap close, that will bring a sub level of that moving average. But we do see a scoop of the 2050 here. Let's clear these out. Let's go to VMA. When we see a scoop, these are bad colors for this, but you're seeing the 20 scoop through the 50 here, and it's rising moving average. Let's see if the price wants to continue rising into maybe that 131. We've got to maintain that daily 20. That's going to be at 116 today. If it does maintain 116 on a close, I do think, or towards close, I do think this thing will want to target into that 127 range. and potentially 131 over the next few days. Guys, if you have troubles navigating the market, please visit wop.com/OptionScalps. wop.com/OptionScalps right here. We have a free community. You can come in there. We have our algo bots in there. We have our flow bots and community in there, just in there, bouncing ideas off each other. We also have our VIP program where you get copies of my trades. You get my analysis. You trade with me throughout the day. We do live trading. We do monthly technical analysis trainings. And you do get our custom indicator that you do see on all of my charts here. It's what we use for our strategy. There is no guessing. We just play the strategy, and we've got a pretty good success rate. So come check it out. Come check out the gains and testimonials in our Discord. Come check out our win rate on a free trial, and I'd love to see you. So if not, don't worry about it. Join the free community. We love new traders coming in, and until next time, guys, appreciate